Okay, so in this chapter we'll look at generating functions. So what is a generating function of a sequence? Okay, so any idea? It is this expression of the form. Okay, it is this expression of the form. We will be looking at two types of generating functions. One is the ordinary generating function and the other one is the exponential generating function. Okay, so the ordinary generating function of the sequence an. Okay, this is nothing but some expression of the form f of x. It's you can think of this as in fact a formal power series, some kind of a notation. Okay, these x's actually which are here are not variables. They do work out to be nice in some cases, but just some kind of a placeholder. These x raised to n's, these are kind of like placeholders in a sequence. So that's what it is. We will not worry too much about what this f of x is. Okay, and our interest will be in finding the generating functions corresponding to some sequences, some interesting sequences which we will look at, like the Fibonacci sequence, and two, using those generating functions, how do we pull out a closed form for the sequence. Example, now for the Fibonacci sequence we have a recurrence relation, but we have no closed form for the formula of Fn. We have, because we have proved it using induction, but if we had not proved that also, using the generating function we will be able to get a closed form for. So Fn, not in terms of Fn minus 1 and all that, a nice form where you can plug and get your answer. You know, put the value of n, you get what is Fn. That's what we are looking for. Okay, so let's first find, so the techniques here are very similar. So I will just do it for Fn, for Fibonacci sequence. You can try it for different type of sequences. So let's see. So the ordinary, and we are going to be looking for a closed form of this of these generating functions. Okay, what that means and whether it's valid is something we are not going to worry about. Okay, it is valid. It's quite easy to in fact check that it's valid, but that needs a little bit of analysis. So we are not going to get into the analysis. Essentially, you would need to say that the radius of convergence of the power series, this is analytically you can think of this as a power series. You would actually need to say that the radius of convergence of these power series are positive, not 0. The radius of convergence is more than 0. If you can do that, then all the manipulation that you do is valid. That's the general principle behind this. Okay, so the ordinary generating function I have taught you all power series in fact in complex analysis, right? I had taught you all power series in complex analysis. So almost all of this actually follows from there if you are a little more vigilant. So generating function of Fibonacci sequence is, let us write it after we actually compute. Okay, so the technique, as I said, remains the same. So let us take let us write what this is later, the closed form. Okay, we are interested in the closed form. That means closed form means what? Some expression of x, okay, which when we look at the power series representation of that expression, Okay, the power series representation of that expression around 0, it would be analytic around 0. That expression would be analytic around 0. All these terms, what they mean to you is, I mean, if you know again power series, you would know what I am talking about. Okay, so these would be analytic in some radius around 0. It would be sufficient for us. You would then be able to expand it as a power series. Okay, it would have a nice Taylor series expression, and that would give us the uniqueness of the Taylor series expression will tell us what is Fn. But we are not going to worry about the analysis again, because the course doesn't want us to be worried about that. So f of x equals, so the power series of my Fn I'm going to take as 0 to infinity Fn x raised to n. So what I am going to be leaving out in this proof is just the fact that this has a positive radius of convergence. So you need to check what is the radius of convergence of this. One technique which you could use to check is use the ratio test. N through test would not help you much here, but use the ratio test, you will get the radius of convergence of this. Okay, if you use the ratio test, you should get some radius of convergence. Of course, there are some small things I think which you will need to work on, but other than that, you will get it. You would, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you would need to prove the convergence of the sequence. Fn does not converge. I hope everyone knows that, right? It's going to go to infinity, unbounded. But Fn upon Fn plus 1 converges. Fn upon Fn plus 1, that is a convergent sequence. Fn plus 1 upon Fn, Fn upon Fn plus 1, these are both convergent sequences. Okay. If one converges, the other one will also converge. They're just reciprocals of each other. So you would need that. Knowing that that converges, you can easily tell what is this thing, because the radius of, what would be the radius of convergence of this power series by ratio test? If you know that the ratio convergence, what would it be? I think Fn upon Fn minus 1, is it? Or Fn? Yeah, Fn upon Fn minus 1, that's what it would be. So essentially showing that that is some positive number would be sufficient. Okay, you would need to check how to do that. That takes some work, but it can be established. Okay, so this is what we have. So I am going to be using the as I said, standard technique here. Okay, since this is a the recurrence relation which we know of Fn is of order 2, so hence the technique, you can just use the same thing for x times f of x. You can write as summation n going from 0 to infinity Fn times x raised to n plus 1. Okay, and what is x square f of x? This is nothing but summation n going from 0 to infinity Fn x raised to n plus 2. Okay, and this will tell me that x times f of x, I'm going to write this in the form n minus 1. So what will that be? What is f0? What is f0? Yes? What have we defined f0 to be? Can anyone tell me? 0, 1. I think 0, right? f0 is defined to be 0, right? Yeah, so that's fine. So therefore this would be summation. So this goes from, so this will be n going from 1 to infinity f n minus 1 x raised to n. Can you see this is exactly the same terms, I'm just writing it differently, right? I'm just putting n equals n minus 1, okay, in this. So, and what would be x square? This is a very regular type of calculation, so I'm not worried about it. I'm sure all of you all can follow this. Okay, that's also the same thing, just substituting in this, in place of n, in place of what is it, n plus 2, I think I'm putting, what is it, yeah, so when n is 2, I'm just moving it, right? When n is 2, I will get f0, f2, exactly where this starts. Okay, so this is not going to be any problem. Now, from here we know that, see, f0 is anywhere 0. So it will be okay to just write here n going from 0 to infinity. Okay. Similarly here, f, when we put n equals 2, we would get 0, right? F is n equals 2. f1, oh, that's not right what I said. I cannot start from 0 because that will give me f minus 1. So I would need to check that that is something valid. So, what is the one which I am missing here? 2 is fine. Yeah, okay. See, notice here that the first term is 0, right? The first term is 0 here at n equals 1. So I could start this from n equals 2. No problem, right? When you put n equals 1, you get here f0. So I could as well as start from 2, right? So therefore, what I will have is x times f of x. And why do I make this calculation? Because when I add here, I will then get fn minus 1 plus fn minus 2, which is fn. That's what I'm looking for. So this would be summation. As I said, instead of starting from 1, I will start from 2. Is that okay? And going from 2 to infinity, fn minus 1. And this anyway starts from 2. So plus fn minus 2 x raised to n. What is this? This is nothing but summation n going from 2 to infinity fn x raised to n. Now this is almost the same as this, right? What is the difference? Yeah, it starts from 2. So it's missing out 2 terms, the 0th term and the first term. Anyway, that 0th term is 0, right? So I have to just subtract out the first term. Okay, so therefore, x f of x, let me write this as x plus x square times f of x equals, okay, so this would be f of x minus the first term. I hope this is okay, okay, please try to follow. The first term is, no problem, no, yeah. First term is f1 x, f1 is 1, so minus x. That's it. From here we can compute what f of x is, right? Just regular calculation, and you've got what f of x is. So what is your f of x? F of x is nothing but, take this to that side, divide down. I believe that this is going to be x upon 1 minus x square. Just check. Yeah, it looks right. Okay, so that's what it is. What is left out in this proof? Just checking that this power series, okay, has some positive radius of convergence. There is nothing else that you actually require, because we have proved that when see, this is the limit of the power series, okay. So we have proved all these things, that you can do this kind of algebraic manipulations and keep this thing. This is all we have done it in this thing, and that's quite obvious. When you multiply x to this, it is going to be the same as that. That is quite easy to establish in power series, but in fact they will have the same radius of convergence. Once you start with this radius of convergence, some radius of convergence, when you multiply x's to it and x squares to it, the radius of convergence don't change. Okay, so analyticity will be preserved throughout. The only thing that you need to do is check that this has this thing. So you would need to show that limit as n tends to infinity, fn upon fn plus 1, fn upon fn minus 1 is convergent. So the sequence fn upon fn minus 1 is convergent. That's what you need to do. That I will leave to you. It's not difficult. You can have a look and see how that sequence actually behaves. You should not try to establish what is its limit. You can use different techniques to actually show that it converges. Okay, you can try and see. I will not give you any more hints to that. It's not that difficult. Okay, now using the generating function, let's pull off what fn is. Okay, we got the generating function. Now let's get what this fn is. So how do we do this? It is essentially, again, I hope everyone can notice that this is analytic at 0, right? This is analytic at 0. There is no doubt about it. You put x equals 0 in the denominator. These are both nice analytic functions, so there is no problem. Okay, this is going to be differentiable at 0. Analytic in the sense of complex numbers also. Even if your x were complex numbers, this would behave nicely around the point 0. Hence, we know that whenever functions are analytic, they have a power series representation, right? We know all of this from complex analysis, we have studied. So let us find the Fibonacci, the closed form of the Fibonacci sequence using the generating function. Okay, let's see. So find fn using the generating function, generating series of fn. So the technique in this is also very routine calculations, not difficult. So we know that summation fn x raised to n, and going from 0 to infinity, we know that this is the limit of this power series is nothing but x upon 1 minus x square. By the way, does this remind you of anything? This remind you of something? If you solve, this is actually the characteristic equation of the, of the recurrence relation of fn, right? Fn equals, you take it all to that side. This will be actually the characteristic equation of that difference equation. Fn is equal to fn minus 1 plus fn minus 2. Pull it all on that side, you'll get fn minus 1 minus fn minus 2. The characteristic equation will be x square minus x, right? No, x square plus x minus 1 equals 0. That's the characteristic equation. That's appearing here. It's not surprising. It's quite you could go ahead and in fact you can get for a linear recurrence relation, you can actually tell you can try to prove it. You can find a closed form for the generating function. Given any linear homogeneous recurrence relation, you can very easily pull out what is the closed form of the generating function. You can try and see. It's not difficult. It's time consuming. It's routine calculation. It's not difficult. Yeah, so that's, yeah, so we have this. So the idea is basically write this as a power series, and because we know that two Taylor series are unique, then Fn would be equal to that coefficient of x raised to n. That's the basic idea. So how do we do that? You all are good at representing these as power series, right? How do we do this? Yeah, so we generally use 1 upon 1 minus x. That kind of a approach is what we generally take. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. To get that, we will have to look for the roots of this polynomial. Okay, the roots of this polynomial. So we have our x upon 1 minus x square. This is, to make it easier, we'll have minus x upon x square plus x minus 1. Okay, you can find the roots of this polynomial. How will you find the roots of the polynomial? Using the formula, right? Okay, you all know the formula to find the roots of the polynomial, right? So you all can use that. And what will the roots be? Can anyone tell me what the roots are of this polynomial? Okay, here we'll write, all of y'all who have forgotten your school maths. So x equals minus b plus or minus root of b square minus 4a into c divided by 2. So what is this? Minus 1 plus or minus root of 5 divided by 2. So which are the roots? One is minus 1 plus root 5 by 2 and minus 1 minus root 5 by 2. If these are the two roots, that means this can be factored as x, right, minus this root into x minus the other root. Okay, so this will become, let's look at the first one, let's look at the minus 1 minus root 5 by 2. So that will be plus 1 plus root 5 by 2, correct, into, I am factoring this out into linear factors, okay, and this will be x, I think we'll go with plus only, if I am not, I will follow what I have done since I don't want to make any mistakes. Root 5 by 2. Okay, that's exactly what you're going to get. These are the roots, right? So how do you factor it? In that manner. Is it okay? You're not convinced, multiply and check, you'll get back that. Okay, that's what we get. Okay, now what do we do? What is the next thing we do? Yeah, that's right. Partial fractions, right? We want to split this up. We do partial fractions. So how do you do partial fractions here? You all can find out what it is. So we want an x in the numerator. So the natural way of getting an x in the numerator is to get an x in the numerator, some, let's say x times something in the numerator would be take this, multiply to this, right, take this, multiply to this. What will that do? It will kill out both of the constants. Okay, the constants will be killed with that. But we will be left with x times this minus this, I believe, right, something like that. So that's what you will be left with. Correct? I hope I'm right. So should we try? How do we do this? So let's see. In fact, yeah. So if we take this multiplied, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try to get that using your regular technique because that is too long. So if I take this 1 plus, and then we can always try to x plus 1 minus root 5 by 2, and then I want to add to this, add or subtract. I would like to subtract, right? Subtract from it 1 minus root 5 by 2 times x plus 1 plus root 5 by 2. Okay, this is going to kill the constants for sure. This into this will go. Okay, you will be left with x times something. What is that something? This is this minus this. What does that give you? This minus this. What are you getting? Minus it is. So the half and half will go. Okay, you will be left with root 5. So since you are left with root 5, you better divide by root 5. Okay, and I want minus. So let's put this minus out. So this is exactly what you're going to get. I can replace x by, okay, I can replace x by 1 over root 5 times this. Okay, or if you want to replace minus x also, we could do that. Yeah, so replace minus x by, then it would have to be this minus that. I hope that's clear. This is not, is this okay? I want to replace minus x, right? So that would be this minus that divided by root 5. Okay, no, this minus this is giving me root 5x, right? So what is x? Cross multiply. What is minus x? Multiply minus 1 on both sides. So you will get that. Okay, so this will give me, so in place of minus x I will have 1 upon root 5 times what? This fellow here, which is 1 minus root 5. Is there error here? No, that's fine. 1 minus root 5, 1 minus root 5 by 2 times x plus root 5, x plus 1 plus root 5 by 2, okay, minus 1 plus root 5 by 2 times x plus 1 minus root 5 by 2 divided by these two brackets, which are the same from above. Okay, split your denominator. There's a minus sign here, right? I'm going to split the denominator. When I split the denominator, this will cancel that, and you will be left with that bracket. Okay, again when you put it here, this will cancel that, you will be left with this bracket. So what are you left with? 1 over root 5, 1 over root 5 times, let me put this up here, 1 minus root 5 by 2 and that bracket. Okay, this bracket will cancel with this, right? This one will cancel with that. So you're going to be left with x plus 1 minus root 5 by 2. Correct? Just checking out because there's a good chance of errors here. Minus 1 plus root 5 by 2 divided by that bracket there. That will give me x plus 1 plus root 5 by 2. These we know how to get the this thing, right? Power series. In fact, if you like, substitute this as A, put that as B, and you can work quite easily. Not very difficult, but let me not do that. Is there a 2 missing somewhere? No, it's fine, no problem. Okay, so I'm going to take this in the denominator, divide by this. Okay, and what I will get here is 1 over root 5. You can work with this the way you like. Okay, there's no standard this thing. 1 upon this will become 1, right? Divide and split the denominator across both. So this will become 1. This is the same as this, right? So you'll get 1 plus x upon, so 2x upon 1 minus root 5. We know the power series expression for these kind of things, right? Plus minus 1 over root 5 times, again something similar, 1 upon 1 plus 2x upon 1 plus root 5. Is this okay? Now we know the valid power series expressions for these. I would suggest that you all don't write, because these are there in the notes with no, this kind of, these things are here in the notes. You don't have any errors. 1 over root 5 times, what are the power series expression for this? Can anyone tell me? Is a minus? Oh, where is the minus coming from? Opposite. X by 2. Have I made a mistake here? 2x it is not? It's not 2x? It is. Okay, so there's a nice trick which you can do here. That is, you can rationalize the denominator. Over here, no? Rationalize the denominator. Rationalize, multiply and divide by 1 plus root 5. You multiply by 1 plus root 5, down what will you get? Minus 4. So the 2 will cancel off with that, giving you 2 in the denominator, minus 2 in the denominator. Let me write it. You will get 1 upon 1 minus, because of that minus 2 from the denominator, x times, so you will get here 1 plus root 5, because that's what we are multiplying up and down, x upon 2. Okay, is that okay? Okay, minus 1 upon root 5 times, rationalize this denominator also. Okay, so multiply and divide by 1 minus root 5. Again here you are going to get minus 4 in the denominator, 2 will cancel, 2 will cancel with 4, giving you minus 2 in the denominator. So here you will have 1 upon 1 minus root 5 by 2 x. Okay, that's it. Now we know the power series expansions for this. Right? This is 1 upon 1 minus ax. What is the power series expression of that? Summation a raised to n, x raised to n. Okay, so this is going to give us nothing but summation n going from 0 to infinity 1 plus root 5 by 2 raised to n minus 1 minus root 5 by 2 raised to n x raised to. Okay, simple. You can push this in 1 over root 5 in. What does this tell me? My fn will be 1 over root 5 1 plus root 5 by 2 raised to n minus 1 minus root 5 by 2 raised to n. Now you have got a formula for fn, where you just plug the value of n, you will get the value of fn. Correct? If you want f10, plug the value of 10 and you get. But of course, as you can see, these expressions are not that easy. These expressions to compute, at least by hand, are not that easy. Right? So I don't know whether you would like this or not, but at least we have a this thing for fn. So I will. So I could give you a small exercise. This one is the Lucas sequence. Okay, you could perform all of this for this itself. Okay, this is called as the Lucas sequence, which is ln, and this has the same recurrence relation as the Fibonacci sequence, but different initial points. That is, L0 equals. By the way, when I write sequences here in this course, almost always I start this thing with 0. Okay. So what is it? I'm going to go with L0 equals 2 and L1 equals 1. L0 equals 2 and L1 equals 1. Try to get both the generating function of that, then using the generating function get a formula for ln. Okay, you just imitate the same process that we have done for fn. In fact, the generating function, there's only the last step is what changes. If you look through, just the last step is what changes, nothing really changes in the generating function. Look carefully what is happening. Where do we actually use the initial condition? We are only using that initial condition in a one step at the end. So you can see that what this is. And you could, of course, try to find generating functions for other sequences also. Okay. One place you can definitely do this is when you have a homogeneous linear recurrence relation. You can always use generating functions nicely. Okay. What about okay, so that was about the ordinary generating function. We can also talk about another generating function which is called as the exponential generating function. Okay, so here again in this course we are not going to worry about the convergence of these power series. We will work with them like they are convergent. So for a sequence an, the exponential generating function of an, or let me just write it. Yes. So the exponential generating function of an is nothing but f of x equals summation an. So it has this n factorial in the denominator here, x raised to n. Okay, that's the exponential generating function. So it seems that some sequences, okay, the exponential generating function is actually more useful than the ordinary generating function. Okay, one example of that is dn. Okay, let's find the closed form of dn. Very easy. Okay, the closed form for the generating function of dn, actually very easy, not like the work which we have done in the previous case. So but you should know that we are not talking about the actual radius of convergence. Okay, so the exponential generating function, this is not a valid short form. Okay, of dn. Again here for dn I make the assumption that d0 is 1, okay, just because I can. Okay, doesn't hamper anything, so I will do that. So we will denote the exponential generating function of dn by dx. Let's compute what this is. So there's a nice technique for this. So dx by definition is summation n going from 0 to infinity dn by n factorial x raised to n. Again, we are not talking about anything to do with the radius of convergence. Okay, as long as we know that its radius of convergence is positive, we can always do this in some interval, and that's all we actually care about. And we know that power series, once they have that radius of convergence, we can differentiate, right? When we differentiate, we get a power series with the same radius of convergence. We have proved this in the course. So let's differentiate this. So the derivative of this is nothing but summation n going from 1 to infinity. So n times dn upon n factorial x raised to n minus 1. So n and n factorial will cancel out, giving you n minus 1 factorial. Okay, so you will get dn upon n minus 1 factorial x raised to n minus 1. I hope I'm right. Just check. Okay, so we look at what is okay. I'll tell you what this is. This is e raised to x times e raised to x upon e raised to minus x upon 1 minus x. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, so let's look at what is 1 minus x times d prime of x. We can compute this. This will give us, I think it would be useful to do, that's fine. So what will this be? This will be summation n going from 1 to infinity, just again very routine calculations, n minus 1 factorial x raised to n minus 1. So what is this is x raised to n, no, that's fine, minus summation x times this. So we will get 1 to infinity dn upon n minus 1 factorial x raised to n. Okay, now what we have? Let's take it from 0 to infinity. We will get summation n going from 0 to infinity. Okay, dn minus 1. I'm not doing anything to the series. I'm just moving it back, like, okay. This is just changing the variable. Okay, so this will be n factorial x raised to n minus summation n going from, let me check whether this is again the same thing. So I would have, yeah, so this one, so actually what I want is, I want the powers of x to match. Okay, so I don't want to shift this by noticing that what is d0 is 1, right? So that is a problem. Okay, so I can do this. Okay, if I write this as n upon n factorial. Can you see that? I have basically just added 0 to this, because this will be 0 factorial 1 and that's going to be 0. So the 0th term will be 0, so that's fine. Okay, this is no problem. So I can do this way. So this will now be, combine this, you will get summation n going from 0 to infinity. What did I get? 1 upon n factorial dn plus 1 minus n times dn. What is this? What is this? What is dn plus 1 minus dn? We know that dn plus 1, we had got a recurrence relation for this, is n times dn plus, is it minus or plus? Plus dn minus 1, right? So dn plus 1 minus n times dn is nothing but n times dn minus 1. Okay, so this will be summation n going, just very routine calculation as I said. So this is n times dn minus 1 x raised to n. This is nothing but summation n going from 0 to infinity 1 by n minus 1 factorial dn minus 1 x raised to n. There is a problem here. I want to start this from 1. I'll tell you why. Because at 0 you can't do this, because that's 0, right? So you can't cancel. So if I start this from 1, I don't want to do this. I'll tell you what I'm doing. This is starting from 0, right? But the 0th term is anyway 0, so I'm going to take n going from 1 to infinity n upon n factorial dn minus 1 x raised to n. This is now is valid, there is no problem in doing. From 1 to infinity there is no problem, we have 1 upon n minus 1 factorial dn minus 1 x raised to n. And now what we can do? We can change the variable, right? Putting n equals n minus 1, we will get n going from 0 to infinity dn upon n factorial x raised to, I think I have made an error. We are getting x raised to n minus 1. Is that what I want? Yeah. This is what we want. Just a second. No, we are getting x plus 1, right? X plus 1, no? From 0, no. Correct. This will start at 1. I wanted to start at 1 plus 1. Okay. So pull out that x. You will get x times summation. What is this thing here? What is this? D of x. Okay. So this is x times d of x. Okay. So we have this expression equals x times d of x. What is this? What is this? This is a 1 minus x times d prime of x equals x times d of x. What is that? Yeah? That's a differential equation, right? No? That's a differential equation. right? This is a differential equation. This gives us d prime of x equals d of x upon d of x x upon 1 minus x times d of x. This is a differential equation. How do we solve this differential equation? Yeah? How do we solve this differential equation? We just do something like this, which we don't understand what we are doing. Okay, and then we integrate on both the sides with respect to x. Okay, this is fine. This is actually a problem here. Anyway, this is d of x. Anyway, so this is integrate on both the sides with respect to x. What do you get? D prime of x upon integral. Actually, this is not correct, but it's okay. Dx equals integral from 0 to x. We actually don't do this. This is not actually correct. Okay, what is this? Yeah, as long as x lies in the radius of convergence, it's fine. There is no problem, which is less than 1 for sure. Yeah, what is this? I thought you all know these. How do you solve this? Add and subtract 1 in the numerator. Okay, if you add and subtract 1 in, yeah, x plus, okay, you add and subtract 1 in the numerator, so you will get, it will be minus x. Okay, add and subtract 1 in the numerator, you will get x minus 1 plus 1 upon this. So separate that, so you will get x minus 1 upon 1 minus x, which is minus 1. Okay, that's going to give us minus x. Integrate that, integrate minus 1, you will get this thing, and then you will get 1 upon 1 minus x, which is log of 1 minus x, log mod of 1 minus x. So it is minus x, I think, is it minus plus? Why am I getting minus? Anyone? Is it minus log mod of x, or is it plus? We can write x as x minus 1 plus 1. Oh yes, minus, because minus sign with the x. So it is minus log of mod of x 1. Okay, that's fine. And here what do we get? This is going from 0 to x, right? At x, this is what we get. At 0, you're going to get 0 here, and log of 1 is 0. That's fine. Is that okay? Oh, okay. Okay. So here what do we get? We will get log of mod of d of x from 0 to x. Okay, from 0 to x. At x we'll get this. At 0 you get d of 1. D of 1 is, sorry, at 0 you will get d of 0. D of 0 is 1. So you get 0. So that's fine. So this is exactly what we have. And from this we can pull out what is, right? You all do this kind of routine calculations all the time. From this we can pull out what is. Anyway, this is a positive number. We need not write this modulus. Similarly, this x, as long as the mod of x is less than 1, as long as the mod of x is less than 1, we can okay, as long as the mod of x is less than 1, we can do this. Okay, so therefore what happens is d of x becomes what? If we know what is log of d of x, that means d of x becomes exponential of that. So this is e raised to minus x times, okay, minus x minus log of 1 minus x, and then you use your exponential rules and you get e raised to minus x times, what is it, e raised to minus log of 1 minus x. Take this down to the denominator, this will give us e raised to minus x upon, that's the, okay. Now how would I get hold of what dn is? How do I get hold of what dn is? I will not do it, but how do you get hold of what dn is? It's nothing but look at the power series expansion of e raised to minus x. Look at the power series expansion of 1 upon 1 minus x and take the Cauchy product. dn would be just that, right? Okay, so that's what it is. I'll put that as an exercise and I'll just give you a hint to it. You can easily catch hold of this. Okay, find dn using the, what is it called, exponential generating function of d. Okay, so the idea is basically like this. Okay, we know that d of x, or I can write summation n going from 0 to infinity dn x raised to n, which is, this is d of x. This I know is e raised to minus x times 1 upon 1 minus x. Look at the power series expansion of this. What is the power series expansion of this? Summation n going from, this is divided by n factorial, right? So you will have to multiply that by n factorial. So this would be n going from 0 to infinity. What is this? Minus 1 raised to n factorial x raised to n, and this would be nothing but x raised to n. This is a very nice one, right? So difficult to get. And how do you get the product of this? What is the product of two power series? It's the Cauchy product. It's that, this thing, right? So what is the nth term? That's the question. N going from 0 to infinity x raised to n. What is this nth term? This is summation k going from 0 to n, right? Summation k going from 0 to n. You all know this, right? Summation k going from 0 to n minus 1 raised to k divided by k factorial into whatever that is. See, if this is ak, this is, sorry, this is an, this is bn. The Cauchy product is ak bn minus k. But anyway, all these bn's are 1. So in this case, it's just going to be ak. Right? That's why I said that this is very easy to calculate. So minus 1 raised to k divided by k factorial. Right? So that's my dn. Okay, so therefore dn upon n factorial, right, the coefficient of x raised to n here should be the same as the coefficient of x raised to n day, because Taylor series are unique. Okay, again, the only thing which we have left out is actually showing that this has a positive radius of convergence. So therefore your dn would be nothing but n factorial times summation k going from 0 to n minus 1 raised to k divided by k factorial. That's what it is. You can check back, it's exactly the same thing. Right? You can check back and see this is exactly the formula that we got using this thing, unless I have made an error. I don't think so. Like that's exactly the formula which we have got when we use the inclusion exclusion principle. Okay. Yeah, I think we can stop here because next time we can start with something new. Okay, next time we'll see something quite interesting. Let me switch this off.